Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is the second part of our talk on improving our educational systems. The one sentence summary could be that we should use the educational methodology of our Prophet instead of following that of Harvard. So in part one, I explained that the modern Western educational system is shaped by a philosophy, logical positivism, which is a theory of knowledge which says that science is the only valid form of knowledge. This has led to a prioritization of knowledge about external reality and the abandonment of our internal reality, our life experiences, our spiritual and emotional dimensions. And this has had a disastrous effect on the type of education being provided in the West and copied in the East. A theory of knowledge was born and came to dominate, which said that science is the only valid form of knowledge. This led to a diminishment of the prestige of humanities because it was considered to be just talk, not knowledge. And that led to the creation of social science. It was humanities made scientific. And basically, all of humanities was revised to fit into a special format which was thought to be what actually science is, even though it was not. The word science in social science makes two false claims: that it is a study of facts, not of opinions, it has no moral values. And also, the second claim is that these facts are universal truths like those of physics. They are equally valid across time and space. And according to the logical positivism, only such things are worthy of the name of knowledge. So the first claim that social science is universally applicable to all societies is obviously false. Social science must be a study of human society, but which society? It only consists of lessons of the European historical experience. It's not universally applicable at all. All of the different societies have their own institutions, their own methods for economics and politics and culture and dealing with environment. In fact, it's so obvious that there is a puzzle that why does European social science claim to be universal when it is so obviously not? This is explained in my article linked here. Similarly, the second claim is that science is a set of universal laws which applies across times and space like those of physics. And this is obviously false because humans are free to choose between good and evil, and our behavior is not predictable, not subject to any mathematical laws. There can be no science dealing with freedom. These things are so obvious that it's a question as to why social minds make these obviously false claims. And to answer this, it's necessary to study the history of how social science emerged in Europe. Over a century of religious wars between Protestants and Catholics, which were deadly and disastrous, neighbor fighting neighbor and country fighting country, and millions of deaths, that led to rejection of Catholic Christianity, of Christianity as a basis for organizing society, because it was obvious to all that use of religion leads to continuous warfare. So Christianity was rejected as a basis for knowledge, but that led to a complete rethinking of the entire stock of European knowledge, because prior to this, all knowledge had been built on Christian foundations. So it became necessary to rebuild the entire entire stock of knowledge starting from scratch. And basically, the Enlightenment and the Enlightenment philosophers are all engaged in this task. So, since Christianity had failed at providing a way of organizing society, social science emerged as a replacement for this. To provide a new set of principles, but this time not to be based on Christianity, but to be based on supposedly objective foundations, but actually a different kind of concealed morality. So, rejection of afterlife led to a natural focus on worldly pleasures, and social sciences are built on this idea that we must focus on this world. And so, according to economics, the goal of life is to maximize pleasure that we get from economic activities. This is wrong uh, in two ways. People don't actually do this, they prioritize human affairs above economic affairs. And it's also normatively wrong. Long term happiness doesn't come from eating and drinking, it comes from social relationships and character. So, religion was removed from the public sphere and restricted to a private sphere of beliefs. So we can summarize this talk up till now by saying that the central conflict is one of knowledge. Western theories of knowledge say that science is knowledge and religion is not. This excludes the purpose of our life and our personal experiences, our spirituality, our hearts from not the domain of knowledge. But Islamic theories of knowledge give our spirituality and our hearts central place to the meaning of life, character, conduct, society. And so the social science is built on foundations which are directly opposed to Islamic theories. So, on the basis of this analysis, we can come to explain the root strategy for a rapid change in our educational system. And that is to change the underlying theory of knowledge. Instead of logical positivism, we should use Islamic epistemology. Instead of teaching students about external reality, we should give our students experiences which make them develop as human beings, which lead to spiritual development, growth, and maturity, and deeper understanding of life itself. Islam teaches us how to develop our potential as human beings. Man was created in the best of forms and reduced to the lowest of the low. It means that man has potential to rise above the angels and also the potential to be the worst among the beasts. The job of a teacher is to make our students rise and develop the potential for excellence with which they have been created. This can be done by giving them useful knowledge, which enters the hearts. And the Prophet sought protection from useless knowledge, which doesn't lead us to personal development. If we examine closely what we are teaching, we'll see that we are teaching only useless knowledge, the type of knowledge that doesn't enter the hearts and doesn't lead to personal development. And this is because we are blindly imitating the West, and the West is using a toxic theory of knowledge. Knowledge is really life experience. How can we lead our students to experience learning? To do this, we need to rebuild the entire structure of social science on Islamic epistemological foundation. Modern universities teach technical skills but don't provide guidance about life. For my personal experiences in this matter, see the link on this page. To give a specific example of how social science is to be rebuilt, consider economics. Is economics the study of scarcity? No. Scarcity arises because economists do not differentiate between needs and wants. For the matter of needs, there is enough to fulfill the basic needs of everyone on the planet, so there is no scarcity. Scarcity arises because we put the wants of the billionaires above the needs of the hungry. If we go back to the Quran as the basis for constructing economics, we see that one of the most important commandments is that we should urge the feeding of the poor, something which is nowhere to be found in the teachings of modern economics. So, how can we create learning experiences among our students? One way is to give our students real life projects to carry out, which will actually make a difference. Ask every student to change the life of one person in his neighborhood. We can give the students a collective project that go back to a nearby slum, study the lives, and make a small change that you can to improve the lives of the people living there. In accordance with the sunnah of our Prophet, our focus should be on building character. But how can we do this? One of the ways, the most difficult one, is the peer murid model, where we model the excellence in behavior. That requires excellence, which few teachers have. But there is an alternative method, which is the fellow travelers model, which is that we are all imperfect. Let us try to learn how we can become better, how we can improve ourselves. We can ask the students to describe the great characters that they have seen. We can describe our characters. And remember that what we're looking for is specific incidents and qualities. We don't want to find heroes, people who are excellent in all dimensions, because there are none of them. The perfect personality was that of our Prophet. But everyone has a few good characteristics, and this is what the Islam teaches us, that look for the good qualities in the people. Ask our students to reflect on their own lives and pick out the things that they did which made them happy, which made them fulfill the orders of Allah. When we do this, we will develop closer relationships with our students instead of the formal and distant relationship that has been modeled for us. And this leads to its own set of problems. Students expect good grades from friends, for example, but this is something that we have to overcome, because we need to develop relationships, and we need to be like fathers, be strict when required, and be affectionate and indulgent when required, both things. But these are things we need to learn. This project of transforming the methodology of education, of removing our dependence on Western education, learning to think our own thoughts, and using our own intellectual tradition to build upon, I've labeled as the Ghazali project, and this is one of the projects of central importance for the future of the Ummah. This was the first of two lectures given in Bhavalpur on September 6th and 7th, and the second part of the lecture is available in Urdu from the link below.